From professional golfers making mind-boggling mistakes to meltdowns that torched careers, these are the dumbest moments in golf history ever caught on camera. And we're kicking things off with number 15. Rickie Fowler's triple-bogey nightmare. It's 2019, and we're at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Rickie Fowler, one of the sport's most likable and marketable stars, is absolutely cruising. He's in the lead, the crowd is behind him, and everything seems to be going his way until it wasn't. Now, bad breaks happen to everyone in golf, but what happened to Fowler that day was something else, something bizarre. He's on the par 4 11th hole. His approach finds water. Not ideal, but manageable. So he takes a drop on the slope just off the green, setting up for what should be a simple recovery. Then disaster. While Rickie briefly turns his back, maybe to survey the green, maybe just to breathe, his golf ball decides it's had enough. It slowly starts rolling down the slope and right back into the water. And here's the brutal twist. Since the ball was officially in play, that spontaneous waterbound journey just cost him another penalty stroke. You could literally see the disbelief on Fowler's face. Part confusion and part, is this really happening? And if that wasn't bad enough, this all happened during the final round, with Rickie trying to lock in a win. The man ends up taking a triple bogey, but here's where it turns legendary. He still wins the tournament, despite recording the highest final round score ever by a winner in the event's history. Golf, it's a wild ride. Let's look at number 14 and Bryson DeChambeau and the Cart Path Circus. We've got Bryson DeChambeau, aka golf's mad scientist, turning a routine rules call into one of the most ridiculous spectacles ever seen on a golf course. It's the 2021 WGC FedEx St. Jude Invitational, and Bryson's tee shot on the par 4 6th hole doesn't go according to plan. His ball ends up nestled under some meshed boundary fencing, right near the line that marks the edge of the course. At first glance, everyone at home is thinking the same thing. That's out of bounds. Unlucky, but that's golf. But not so fast. This is Bryson DeChambeau we're talking about, the guy who treats the rule book like it's a science experiment. And in this case, he saw a glimmer of hope. See, under the rules of golf, a ball is only considered out of bounds if the entire ball is beyond the boundary line. So here comes the rules official, string in hand. He stretches a line between the two out-of-bounds stakes to see where the ball really lies. And wouldn't you know it, a tiny sliver of Bryson's ball is still touching the string. Technically, in bounds. A lucky break? Absolutely. But Bryson wasn't done engineering the situation. Just inches away, a cart path sits right in his stance line. If he tries to play the ball as it lies, he's going to be standing on pavement. Now, according to the rules, cart paths are classified as immovable obstructions, which means you typically get relief, but only if the shot you're trying to play is reasonable. So the official asks the key question. If the cart path weren't here, how would you play this ball? Bryson doesn't even blink. He confidently explains that he'd punch the ball back into the fairway, straight through the fence, and somehow the official buys it. Bryson is granted free relief, even though his ball was wedged under a boundary fence and practically in another zip code. It's a moment that left golf fans shaking their heads and yelling at their TVs. Technically legal? Sure. Common sense? Not so much. But when you're Bryson DeChambeau, bending physics and rules is just part of the brand. Number 13, Mark Rowe's scorecard catastrophe. Now we're heading back to 2003 to one of the most heartbreaking and preventable blunders in major championship history. This one's not about a bad swing or an unlucky bounce. It's about a simple piece of paper. A scorecard that ended UK's Mark Rowe's dream on the biggest stage of his life. The setting? The Open Championship at Royal St. George's. Mark Rowe, a journeyman pro, had been grinding on tour for over 2 decades. He'd seen the highs and lows, had a few wins, but never seriously contended in a major. Until now. After stumbling to a 77 in the first round, Rowe came back with a strong 70 just to make the cut. Then, in the third round, everything clicked. Paired with Sweden's Jesper Parnevik, Rowe shot a dazzling 67, matching the legendary Nick Faldo for the best score of the day. When he walked off the 18th green, he was just 2 shots behind the leader, Thomas Bjorn. The crowd was buzzing. The broadcasters were hyping a possible Sunday miracle, but then everything unraveled. See, in professional golf, there's one basic routine before every round. You exchange scorecards with your playing partner, you write down their scores, and they write down yours. Well, Rowe and Parnevik forgot to do that. They played the entire round recording the correct scores, but on the wrong cards. When they finished, they signed them without noticing the mix-up. Everything on the cards was accurate, just not for the right player. And that, according to the rules of golf, is an automatic disqualification.
In all honesty, you are responsible for your own scorecard, and I'm the only person to blame. The rules are there to protect the game of golf, and that's why we play the game, because it's such an honest game and has so much integrity. If I go home and see my children tonight, believe me, I'll be a little bit upset, but this is not that important.
This type of issue strikes at the very heart of the game. It strikes at the heart of golf being a self-regulating game. And because of that, players have to record their scorecards accurately. And I'm afraid if there are errors of this kind, the results can be very severe.
No warning, no second chances. Mark Rowe went from a career-defining Sunday chase at the Open to being erased from the leaderboard entirely. Just like that. And the worst part, this wasn't just a bad break, it was a final chance missed. Rowe never again found himself in contention at a major. He would never tee it up in another one. His shot at glory disappeared because of a simple, heartbreaking oversight. All those years grinding, all that work to climb the leaderboard, gone with a single signature on the wrong scorecard. Sometimes golf doesn't need cruel bounces, just human error. Now, number 12, we're going back to 1950 and Lloyd Mangrum and the bug that cost the U.S. Open. We head back to the year 1950 to the iconic Marion Golf Club and one of the strangest, most unfortunate rule violations in U.S. Open history. It's a 3-man playoff for the title between Ben Hogan, George Fazio, and Lloyd Mangrum, a true heavyweight showdown. Hogan, fresh off recovering from a near-fatal car crash just 16 months earlier, is fighting his way through pain and fatigue. His putting has been shaky. He needed 38 putts in the final round, and he's even considering switching putters. His brother rushes an old brass putter to the course on Sunday morning, but Hogan doesn't have time to practice with it, so he sticks with his current setup. The playoff is tense. Hogan holds a 1-shot lead through 13 holes. Fazio starts to fade, but Mangrum is hanging tough. After a bogey on 14, he bounces back with a birdie on 15, keeping himself right in the hunt. Then comes the infamous 16th hole. Mangrum's on the green. He marks his ball so Fazio can finish. No big deal. But then, just before putting, a bug lands on his ball. Mangrum does what any of us would probably do. He remarks his ball, gently blows the bug off, replaces it, and putts for what he believes is a par. But back in 1950, under the USGA's strict rules, you were only allowed to mark your ball on the green if it interfered with another player's line. A bug? Not a valid reason. By marking it again just to remove the bug, Mangrum unknowingly committed a 2-stroke penalty. As he teed off on 17, a USGA rules official caught up with him to deliver the crushing news. Mangrum had gone from just 1 shot back to 3 shots back. His chances were over. Hogan went on to birdie 17 and par the 18th to claim the win. His second U.S. Open and one of the most dramatic in golf history. One tiny bug, one innocent gesture, and it cost Lloyd Mangrum a major championship. We hit number 11 and Hideki Matsuyama's painted club DQ. Fast forward to 2022 at the Memorial Tournament. one of the PGA Tour's most prestigious events. Hideki Matsuyama, the 2021 Masters champion, arrives with high hopes. He tees off with his go-to club, a reliable 3-wood, and everything looks routine. But things quickly get weird. As he plays through his opening holes, a rules official notices something strange about Hideki's club. The face of the 3-wood is painted with neat white lines. Not dirt, not wear, actual white paint, intentionally applied. Here's where things get complicated. Hideki's team had painted the club face to help him line up shots more precisely, basically creating a visual aid. Seems harmless, right? Wrong. According to the rules of golf, any foreign substance applied to a club that could affect how the ball behaves renders that club non-conforming. It doesn't matter if it's a laser or a dab of paint. If it can influence spin or contact, it's illegal. Matsuyama had used the club during play, which meant there was only one possible outcome: disqualification. It was a crushing moment. He was out of the tournament, not because of a bad shot, but because of paint. The kicker? He only used that 3-wood once. One swing, one mistake, one DQ. Let's hit number 10, and Sergio Garcia's Saudi meltdown. Now, for a meltdown of epic proportions, it's the 2019 Saudi International, and Sergio Garcia is in the middle of a full-blown tantrum. He's long been known for wearing his emotions on his sleeve, but this time, things went nuclear. On Friday, he finds himself in a bunker on the par 5 fourth hole. He's clearly frustrated, maybe with the lie, maybe with raking, maybe with life. After hitting out, he goes berserk, slashing at the sand like he's trying to mine for gold. Cameras catch the entire outburst, but that was just the warm-up. On Saturday, Garcia takes things to another level. Instead of just one bunker, he begins damaging multiple greens, 5 of them to be exact. Not by accident, not carelessly, deliberately. It was so bad that players and groups behind him started complaining, and that's when things hit a new low. Garcia became the first player ever disqualified under Rule 1.2a, which covers serious misconduct. He issued a public apology afterward, admitting to damaging a couple of greens, which was generous considering it was 5. Emotional? Sure. Competitive? Definitely. But this was a meltdown for the ages. Number 9. Patrick Reed declares himself top 5. Spoiler alert, he wasn't. This one's less about rule breaking and more about pure cringe. It's 2014 at the WGC Cadillac Championship, and Patrick Reed has just sealed a commanding victory. He's 23 years old, riding high, the youngest ever to win a WGC event. Then, because Reed wasn't in the top 5, he wasn't even in the top 20. Golf Twitter exploded. Analysts rolled their eyes. Fans winced. It was the golf equivalent of spiking the ball at the 10-yard line. But to be fair, Reed didn't just talk, he eventually started backing it up. 4 years later, he won the Masters, and by 2020, he climbed to a career-high number 6 in the world. Still not top 5, but close, I guess. Was it cocky? Definitely. Was it dumb? Maybe. Was it unforgettable? Absolutely. Let's hit number 8 and Alvaro Quiros and the tap-in that wasn't. Let's go to the 2015 Portugal Masters, where Alvaro Quiros suffered one of the most painful putts ever televised. It's the par 5 12th hole. After reaching the green in 3, Quiros faces a 10-foot birdie putt. He misses, but barely. The ball finishes just inches from the cup. No problem, just a simple tap-in for par. He strolls up, casually taps the ball, and disaster strikes. The ball hits the back lip of the cup, pops up like a kernel of popcorn, and bounces out. The gallery gasps. Quiros freezes. The announcers are speechless. He wasn't even rushing. He wasn't angry. He just gave it a little too much. And the hole said, "Not today." It's one of those moments where physics and heartbreak collide, and you realize golf can be cruel even when you do almost everything right. Lucky number 7, and Zalatoris and Davis swap balls and pay the price. It's the final round of the season's first major. On the 15th hole, a 551-yard par 5, Cam Davis and Will Zalatoris are both chasing strong finishes. Then it happens. They each hit their second shots, approach the green, and realize they've played each other's balls. At this level where players obsess over markings and brand details, it's almost unthinkable. But the mistake is made, and the rules are clear. 2-stroke penalty, and both players must return to where they hit from and replay the shots. The result? Double bogeys for both, and a brutal blow to their standings. Cam Davis falls from top 10 contention to 14th, dropping from a potential $700,000 payout to $400,000, losing $300,000. Zalatoris tumbles from tied 6th to tied 26th, losing over $120,000. In total, the mix-up costs them a pretty penny. But for Zalatoris, who's making a comeback after a year-long injury, the emotional cost might have been even higher. Number 6, and Michelle Wie's signature slip-up. It's 2008, and Michelle Wie is playing some of the best golf of her life at the State Farm Classic. She's just finished a brilliant round, a 5-under 67, one shot off the lead. But there's a problem, a tiny, devastating one. The day before, after finishing her second round on the 9th hole, she heads to the scoring tent and forgets to do one simple thing: sign her scorecard. A well-meaning volunteer realizes the mistake, chases her down, and gets her to return and sign it. Problem solved, right? Wrong. According to LPGA rules, once a player leaves the designated scoring area, the score becomes final, and she had left, but just barely. Result: disqualification. Her incredible third round, meaningless. Her chance at victory, gone. It's number 5 with Camilo Villegas and the embedded ball that wasn't. At number 5, we've got a bizarre moment that proves sometimes the rule book is the real villain. It's a critical round, and Camilo Villegas finds his ball buried under a pile of pine straw and sand. He's convinced the ball is embedded, which under the rules would mean free relief without penalty. But there's a catch. Sand isn't ground under the embedded ball rule. Yes, you read that right. While it may look like the ball is plugged, if it's in sand outside a bunker, it doesn't count. Still, Villegas thinks he's got a shot at relief and calls in a rules official. The official takes a look and says flat out, no relief. Camilo's not satisfied. He asks for a second opinion. Another rules official arrives, takes another close look, and gives the exact same ruling. Frustrated but out of options, Villegas is forced to remove the top layer of pine straw and punch the ball out sideways. No heroics, no free drop, no miracle save. It's a reminder that in golf, what feels fair doesn't always matter. The rules don't care how bad your lie is. If it's embedded in sand, even under debris, you're out of luck. Hitting number 4, Ian Woosnam's 15-club disaster. This one's so simple and so stupid that it's almost painful to watch unfold. It's 2001, and Ian Woosnam is tied for the lead at the Open Championship at Royal Lytham in St. Anne's. He's just birdied the first hole. Momentum is on his side. He's in contention for the Claret Jug. Then comes the second tee box. His caddy, Miles Bryan, turns to him and says the 7 words that would live in infamy. You're going to go ballistic. We've got 15 clubs. In professional golf, carrying more than 14 clubs is a direct violation of the rules. It's an automatic 2-stroke penalty. The extra club? A second driver they forgot to remove from the bag that morning. Woosnam, furious and stunned, hurls the illegal driver into the bushes in disgust. It's one of the most dramatic club tosses in golf history. Those 2 strokes may have cost him the championship. He'd go on to finish tied for 3rd, 4 shots back of the winner. In a sport defined by margins, this was a brutal, avoidable mistake, made worse by the fact that counting clubs is literally a caddy's job. Number 3, Rory McIlroy's parking lot meltdown. the Ryder Cup 2023. Tensions always run high at the Ryder Cup, but in 2023, they exploded into a full-on confrontation that felt more like a scene from a sports movie than a golf event. Here's the setup. Rory McIlroy and Matt Fitzpatrick have just lost their match to Patrick Cantlay and Wyndham Clark. Frustration is in the air. As Rory lines up a final putt, Cantlay's caddy Joe LaCava celebrates right in Rory's line of sight. Hat waving, arms flailing, total distraction. Rory asks him to move. Once, twice, LaCava refuses. McIlroy, usually the calm presence of Team Europe, is visibly boiling, but it doesn't end on the green. Later, in the parking lot, Rory crosses paths with Jim Bones Mackay, Justin Thomas's caddy, and that's when things really erupt. Rory loses it, pointing, shouting, having to be physically restrained by teammate Shane Lowry, who holds him back while Rory yells, "Get out of my face!" The footage goes viral. Cool-headed Rory? Not this time. It became one of the most unforgettable Ryder Cup outbursts ever, and a glimpse into just how intense the Ryder Cup truly is. We're at number 2, and Robert Vicenzo, the $100,000 signature. It's 1968, and Roberto Vicenzo is fresh off winning the Open Championship the year before. Now he's in the final round of the Masters, playing on his 45th birthday and putting together a fantastic round. Then comes hole 17. He makes a birdie, or so he thinks, but his playing partner, Tommy Aaron, accidentally writes a par on Vicenzo's scorecard. Distracted, celebratory, and probably dreaming of a green jacket, Vicenzo signs the card without checking it. And in golf, what's written is what counts. Instead of entering a playoff with Bob Golby, Vicenzo is recorded as finishing one stroke behind. No playoff, no chance at winning, and no do-over. His response? "What a stupid I am." The heartbreak wasn't just emotional, it was financial too. The mistake likely cost him a second major and over $100,000 in winnings, worth even more today, all because of one wrong number on a card. At number 1, the fan who robbed Rory. Almost. At number 1, we arrive at a moment so unreal, so absurd, it sounds made up, but it's 100% real. It's 2021, and Rory McIlroy is preparing to start his second round at the Scottish Open, alongside Jon Rahm and Justin Thomas, the world's number 1 and number 3 players. They're standing on the 10th tee, focused, calm, then, out of nowhere, a random spectator walks onto the tee box. No security, no hesitation. He casually strolls up to Rory's bag like he owns a place and starts rummaging through it like he's shopping at a yard sale. First, he pulls out Rory's driver head cover, takes a look, then decides, nah. Next, he grabs an iron, as if he's about to take a few swings. Rory, Rahm, and JT just stand there, stunned, unsure whether they're on a golf course or a prank show. Security finally steps in and escorts the guy away, but even as they're removing him, the fan tries to keep Rory's head cover as a souvenir. It's a moment that was caught on video, shared millions of times, and remains one of the most bizarre intrusions in golf history. There you have it. From rule book disasters to emotional blow-ups, signature slip-ups, and rogue spectators, these are the dumbest, weirdest, and most unforgettable moments in golf history. Before you go, check out the next wild list we've got for you. And hey, if you haven't already, hit subscribe to join us for more bizarre and hilarious golf content. And don't forget to keep it in the short stuff.